I'm Kim Rathbone. We're on this episode of On Subrogation, and I'm here at the National Association of Subrogation Professionals Conference with Brian Suchoff, who is a subrogation attorney in New York and New Jersey. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Brian and I have worked together for a while, and I know he's extremely good at reviewing his claims. Tell me what your process is.
Well, the first thing just so you know, is I think it's very important when you get a claim to spend time on the claim when it gets in to make sure you have everything you need. So whether you get your claims by mail, which isn't usual, or by email, first thing I do personally is I print out what I need. And what I'm looking for is the assignment page. So now I know the parties, I know the date of accident, I know the amount of damages. Then I go in for accident reports and statements. And then I go in for estimates, ACV paperwork, salvage paperwork, rental bills, proof of payment, photos. The first thing I do is I take the amount of the claim and I take the supporting papers and I make sure they match up. And sometimes, when you have a total loss and you have estimates, you'll have 3 different evaluations. I spend a few minutes and I make sure I'm to the penny. If I'm not to the penny, I will email the client immediately and say, I'm off by $150, where is it? You match the payment screens up, and now I know I have my damages are proper. Next thing I do is I look at the police report or I look at these statements, and I make sure I have a case that's actually worth pursuing. Generally speaking, clients don't send you cases that aren't worth pursuing, but sometimes they read something different than you. So I'll read the accident report. I'm going to assume, okay, we can make some money on this case, we go forward. Then I will scour the file for any notes and I'll see, did they find insurance? And if they found insurance, why didn't they settle it? Is it there was insurance and they're denying coverage? There was insurance, but the insurance lapsed? Or is there another reason that it was sent to me? Because I want to know all that before I go in. If they didn't find insurance, my firm, and we're actually good at finding insurance, I'll actually spend a few minutes and see, based on insurance codes, based on license plate numbers, if I could actually find a carrier that they couldn't find. Once I've done all that and I realize I'm not going to settle it and why they didn't settle it, now is when I'll acknowledge it to the client. I'll give them a claim number, I'll assign it my file number, and then I know my next step is either, everything gets a claim letter, now it's time we put it into suit, and I give it to my paralegal and I tell her which court, which county, and we move from there. I acknowledge it to the client, and now the case, which has been fully reviewed, is in the system, and I know it's a case I think we could collect on, it's a case for whatever reason can't be settled right away, let's put it right into suit. Because when attorneys get files, they've already been worked. So they're not looking for me to write a claim letter and wait 30 days. And then we're moving on and we're good to go.
Well, and I know you're very detail oriented, and that helps you resolve claims very quickly, and we love that, right?
It's very important because you don't want to get a file in, not really look it over. You put it into suit, and then you realize after you've spent the client's money, et cetera, there was a reason the case, you should have closed it right at the beginning. So the 10, 15, 20 minutes at the beginning of a file, and I'm talking mostly here auto files, which are smaller, simpler files. A huge property case is a whole different ballgame. Very important, someone with knowledge spends 10 or 15 minutes at least on that file to determine the amount and make sure it's collectible.
Now, I know you've got a good story to tell about a case that you've handled. Tell me one.
So, probably my favorite case, which was a big hit too. Client, I do New York auto work. So a client, an insured from Long Island, goes to a restaurant in Manhattan for dinner. Valet parks their car. Him and his wife are sitting at dinner and they get a call from their daughter at their house, and she says, "Why are you guys home? I thought you were at dinner in the city." And the parents say, "No, we're sitting in the restaurant." And they go up to the valet or the manager and they say, "My daughter says that my car is pulling into my garage and we're sitting here." And it turns out the valet The car was stolen from the valet. I'm not 100% sure how. The thieves in navigation system must have pushed home. They drove to the house, and they had stolen a Mercedes. I remember that. They drove to the house, pressed the garage button where they found a Porsche. They stole the Porsche also. They stole the Mercedes. They stole the Porsche. Here's the best. The police are actually chasing them, and they smack up both cars. So I sue the valet company because it was not an armed robbery. They actually didn't secure the keys. I sue the valet company, and we collect well in over $100,000 for both cars.
Oh, yes.
But interesting case. The insured who I actually spoke to really freaked out when the daughter called. And that was when my wife decided from now on, when you set home in navigation, you set it a mile away from your house.
Right. All right.
But that was probably one of my most interesting cases.
I love it. It's a good story. Thank you very much for joining us. Kim Rathbone with On Subrogation. That's the long and short of it.